Washington skies are a beautiful resource shared by many groups. Some use it for commerce. Others use it for research. It is used for our national defense, and it's used for recreation. Of these groups, sailplanes are among the least understood. This video aims to improve air safety by introducing you to some unique aspects of their flying and to the high levels of sailplane activity near Moses Lake, Washington. If you've ever seen pictures or footage of a training glider, you might have an idea what they're capable of. But this is what modern sailplanes are. Today, sailplanes fly at speeds up to 140 knots, have climbed to over 50,000 feet, and commonly cover hundreds of miles in a single flight. Their wingspans range from 40 to a whopping 100 feet, allowing them to stay aloft for the entire day. But as you can see, their light colors and sleek profile make them incredibly hard to spot in the air. You can be within a few hundred yards of a sailplane and never even notice it. So it is important to understand how and where they fly to avoid an uncomfortable mid-air meetup. First, let's cover the topic of where they fly. This map highlights the most commonly used launching sites in Washington state. The two largest centers of activity are at Arlington Airport and at Ephrata Airport. While local training flights occur at many of these sites year-round, most soaring occurs from late March through late September. Summertime operations can be especially busy at Ephrata, with pilot groups visiting from out of state and an annual week-long contest focusing on speed and distance. Launch operations can reach 30 sailplanes per hour, and when you consider the additional towplane landings required between each launch, this is an impressively busy and complex environment. Gliders are especially vulnerable during launch and landing. On launch, they are flying in a 200-foot formation with the towplane. The short rope between them requires careful coordination and smooth flying. During this time, most attention is focused on the formation and not conflicting air traffic. Tows typically last 5 to 7 minutes, with a climb to approximately 3,000 feet AGL within a 5 to 10 mile radius of the airport. At Ephrata specifically, most towing is done to the high ground located north and west of the airfield, although this varies depending on weather conditions. After tow release, gliders will congregate in this same area as they attempt to gain initial altitude, circling tightly within 500 feet of each other. This dynamic situation is called a gaggle, and requires sailplanes to focus more on near targets than air traffic which may be on an intercept course. On tow and during initial climb, gliders will be flying between 40 and 80 knots. Once they begin cruising flight, speeds can climb to 140 knots, and their slender front profile makes them hard to spot. Due to their limited power sources, most gliders do not carry transponders, making visual contact that much more important despite the challenge. Departing Ephrata, glider flights extend across the entire central Washington basin, from the spine of the Cascades to Spokane, and from the Canadian border to the Tri-Cities. Altitudes range from 500 feet AGL to cloud base, which is often around 10,000 feet in this area. Speaking of clouds, puffy cumulus clouds mark rising air. They are commonly used as waypoints and climbing spots by sailplanes. Be especially watchful for traffic underneath cumulus clouds and anywhere near cloud base. Sailplanes typically monitor comm traffic on frequency 123.3 and will respond to position requests or to reports of your location. Keep in mind, however, that sailplanes frequently change direction and altitude. In the late afternoon and evening hours, sailplanes will be returning to the Ephrata Airport. This often involves high-speed, straight-line runs beginning 20 to 30 miles out. Sailplanes will be hard to spot and descending to low altitudes over the final 5 to 10 miles around Ephrata. Once they arrive at the airfield, the traffic pattern can become quite busy as all gliders land in quick succession, using only the altitude they have remaining. With all of these factors at play, we urge all pilots to use caution before planning any flight within 10 miles of Ephrata during daylight hours between April and September. Glider operations peak on the weekends, but are present at Ephrata 7 days a week during the summer months. If your flight path is discretionary, take note of these heavily used areas. As you can see, your odds of encountering a sailplane are significantly higher near Ephrata and the areas northwest and northeast of the Ephrata Airport. If you have any questions or would like to know more, please feel free to contact the Seattle Glider Council. We are happy to share our love of flight and work together to improve the safety of our shared airspace.